Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Georgia McGilly from Georgia Beth Photography, and in this video I'm going to review for you the Nikon D3300. So it's a brilliant beginners or entry-level DSLR camera. I highly recommend it for anybody who's looking out to start in photography or just want to be able to take really good family photos or holiday pictures and stuff. I decided that I'd film this section of the video actually on my Nikon D3300 so that you can get an idea of what the video quality's like. I will show you some other photos and edited images that I have shot on this camera so that you can get an idea of what the quality's like. We're just going to go through some of the basic specs, whether I think it's still worth buying 6 years later after its release date, and also some video and photo footage from this physical camera. So before we get into it, please make sure that you hit subscribe and like and share the video. Go ahead, share it if you're really interested in buying a decent camera, or you know anybody else who loves photography and wants to kind of get into it and start buying a camera that is really going to help them do that. And let's get to it. So this camera actually did come out in 2014, and it is classed as their sort of entry-level line of cameras, and it's definitely one of the lowest price points in Nikon for their DSLR cameras. But do not be fooled by that. This is a brilliant piece of kit, especially for that price point. If you compare it with other cameras of their kind in different brands, you're not really gonna get these sort of specs for that price. So the camera is a 24.4 megapixel camera, which is just really high resolution for this sort of price point. Obviously, phone cameras are getting better and better today, and so that's really why I decided I wanted to do this review. Is it really worth investing in a camera like this when cameras on phones are getting really good? But you're not going to get that sort of resolution in a phone camera. A couple little bonus things that are on this camera that you wouldn't necessarily normally see on an entry-level camera is, one, just a really small thing, the SD card slot is actually on the side, not underneath where the battery is. So it just makes it really easy for switching your SD cards. It takes up to a 64 gigabyte card, so that's got plenty of space for loads and loads of pictures on there for you. If you're planning on going and purchasing this, I recommend that you get a couple of different SD cards just in case something went wrong with it ever, or just to make sure that you never run out of space for your photos. The advantage to buying a DSLR camera like this means that you can actually switch the lens out. So this camera and its more kind of modern model, which we'll get into a little bit more later on, the D3500, which is their kind of newest version of this line, they both come with, if you buy it as a set, with a kit lens that is 18 to 55 millimeters, which is actually really quite good quality for the cost that you're paying. But you can switch that lens off and buy several other lenses. This camera's lens mount is an F mount, so it's compatible with loads of different lenses. You can buy more expensive lenses or not. I'm actually filming this video with a 35 millimeter 1.8 lens, and it just means that you can up the quality a bit more. This lens is not expensive. I think the price is about £150 right now for this particular lens, but it just ups the quality just slightly more than if you were going to get the kind of standard kit lens. So you have this advantage of having a DSLR camera like this. You can go and purchase other f-mount lenses and pop them on the camera, and then you just have the advantage of being able to kind of have a wide angle lens or a macro lens, or be able to take photos that are just a slight bit better quality because you've bought a slightly more expensive lens to pop on it, rather than having to go and purchase an entire new camera. So this camera, because it is an entry-level camera, has a fixed LCD screen. It doesn't move, so you can't kind of flip it out or flip it down, which makes it sometimes a little bit difficult if you're trying to get some shots from kind of a really low level where you can't get down to where the screen is, or if you're trying to do sort of vlogging or whatever. You just have to obviously set the focus beforehand and then click it on, and you won't necessarily be able to see yourself in the screen. So the camera comes with a 5 frame per second shooting mode and also 700 shots for the battery life. So there's plenty of shots before you need to change the battery. Again, if I was going to use this in traveling and stuff, I'd just bring along a spare battery so you could have an extra charge battery to pop in if you ever needed to. But 700 shots is a lot of shots, so that's not really anything that you desperately need to worry about. One of my favorite things about this camera is the guide mode. So if you are a beginner wanting to look into how to take good photos, how to start off in photography, but you just don't really have a clue about where to start, you keep watching these videos and they're talking about aperture and ISO and f-stops and all these weird words that you probably don't even know what they mean, and you're having to go and Google what they mean every single time. This camera is perfect for you because it has a really simple step-by-step guide mode that is in really simple, easy to understand language. So you can choose an option and it will say make the background fuzzy or something like that, and then it will show you what settings to change to do that. You can choose a setting that talks about low light settings. So if you're in the evening, it says, you know, if you're outside, if it's nighttime, choose this setting. Or if you are trying to take a bright light photo, use this setting. So it's absolutely brilliant for people who are really wanting to learn photography. You don't really need to know much before you buy this camera. And I know a lot of beginner photographers want to be able to take good photos, but they feel like if they go and buy a nice DSLR camera, they're going to have to do a lot of studying to work out how to use it, what they need to do to be able to get the shots that they want. But you don't need to worry about that with this camera. It has a really simple guide mode that just explains how and when to use all these different settings. The camera has 11 points of autofocus, but it also has the option to use manual focus. So if you're really worried, don't want to be able to muck around with manual focus, the autofocus is great for taking photos. But if you want to just kind of learn a bit further, start to learn how to use manual focus, then you can also do that with this camera. So this camera is in what's called DX format. It's got an APS-C sensor, so it is a cropped sensor. It's not a full frame camera. It's not quite at the level of a professional photographer's camera, but it is still brilliant and takes brilliant resolution and great quality photos. If you want to know a bit more about the differences between cropped sensors and full frame sensors, just let me know in the comments below and I can get that out to you at some point soon. Okay, so moving on to the quality of the photos. I just decided that I wanted to do a little bit of a slideshow here for you so that I can show you a couple of different photo shoots that I've actually not taken on my full frame camera. I've used this camera for, and to be honest, the quality is brilliant. I have got friends who I did just like a little family photo shoot for a few years ago on this camera, and they have their photos blown up nice and big on a canvas on the wall, and it still looks great quality. So there is no worry about that. If you take a photo with this camera, you know it's still going to be really good quality. You can blow it up nice and big. It's not going to be pixelated. So go ahead and check out these photos and I'll see you in a second. So for the video, as I said, I'm filming it all on this camera right now, and it is actually really good quality, perfect for travel, perfect for the beginner photographer who's wanting to just dip their toe in a bit of videography and stuff as well. The autofocus section on video is not quite as good. It can sometimes sort of go in and out of focus if you're using it. So I would recommend that you just learn to use manual focus slightly when you're filming stuff. But to be honest, it's really good. It's a HD video, 1080, 60p. Another thing that I love about it for its video that you don't normally get on entry-level cameras is that it has a microphone jack. So I actually have my lapel mic on right now plugged in to the camera so that you can get that sort of better quality of sound, because the built-in microphone isn't always going to be the best quality. But if you're trying to film a video or something like that, it's perfect for this. I can just plug my little lapel mic in and I'm getting better quality sound from it. Okay, so why should I review the D3300 when there is a newer one out, you ask? Is it still worth buying in 2020? And I say 100% yes. So there are a few differences between this camera, the D3300, and the newest version out of the line, which is the D3500. So I'm just going to run through those and you can kind of decide for yourself whether you think it's worth buying this camera or whether you think it's buying the newer version. Okay, so there are three main differences between this camera and the newest version of it, the D3500, and those are this. So the first one is it's got a higher native ISO. So ISO is really just how much light the camera is letting in. So the highest this one goes up to is 12,800, whereas the newest one in the line, the D3500, native ISO can go up to 26,500. The D3500, the native ISO can go up to 25,600. So it can go quite significantly more. So that's really good for low light situations. But if you're worried about that, you can always buy another external flash or anything like that to pop on top of this camera to just make those low light situations a lot brighter. The second upgrade from the D3300 to the D3500 is the battery life. So it's something really simple, but it has pretty much double the battery life. So this camera has about 700 shots per fully charged battery, whereas the newer version, the D3500, has 1500 shots per battery. So that's really good for if you're traveling, I guess. But again, I'm the sort of person to make sure I always have a backup, that I never run out of battery. So I would always have a backup battery in my bag or whatever, or in my pocket anyway, so I'm not really too worried about paying the extra money to get the newer version just for battery life. So the Nikon D3500 also has superior connectivity, so you can connect to an external device like a phone or an iPad with an app via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. So that is quite a big advantage to these cameras, that if you're taking pictures with the cameras and you want to put them straight onto Instagram, or you want to be able to view them on your phone, or whatever you want to do, you can actually transfer it onto your phone through an app, rather than with this camera you would have to take your laptop with you and stick the SD card in or transfer it over in some other way like that. So that is an advantage. Okay, so let's look at the price points here. We have the Nikon D3300, which is a 6-year-old camera. It did come out in 2014, but really the quality of the photos, all that sort of thing, is second to none for this price point. They are selling at the minute for £370 on Amazon, including the lens. So you have your kind of full kit there. You don't need to buy anything extra unless you want to, and you straight away are having beautiful, good quality photos for your family or for just learning photography, all that sort of thing. The next camera, which is the newest one, the D3500, we are looking at paying about £450 for pretty much the same thing. Just those three differences: a higher native ISO, a slightly better battery life, and then that Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connectivity. So really it is just down to you. How are you going to be using it? Do you want to go for this bit more expensive newer version so that you've got that Wi-Fi connectivity, or are you not too bothered about that? Will you only be using it by plugging it into the laptop anyway? If so, then definitely go for the cheaper one, because the quality of the images isn't really any different between the two cameras. They haven't upgraded the megapixels, they haven't upgraded anything else. They've just kind of put in some more kind of modern technology into the camera. So it's totally up to you guys. You go ahead and make that decision. I still think that the D3300 is a brilliant camera to still buy in 2020, and of course you can go and buy it secondhand now as well, as it is a bit of an older camera. So if you go ahead and jump onto different websites like mpp.com or Camera Jungle, you can get refurbished or secondhand cameras that have been serviced and cleaned that still have a 1-year warranty on them, and you're paying significantly less than you would for a brand new camera. So that's it from me today. I know that I haven't gone too deep into this review. I've just kind of given you the basics of the camera, whether I think it's still worth buying today in 2020. But please do put in the comments below if you have bought one of these, if you're looking to buy one of these, and if you'd like to have a bit more of a tutorial of how to use this camera and stuff, because I really do love this camera. I still take it out on holiday with us, taking family photos and things like that. I know that there are quite a few of you out there who are looking to kind of get into photography and would probably enjoy a tutorial on this camera if you go ahead and buy it. And of course, like I said, it is very similar to the D3500. So if I show you how to use this camera, it won't be that different if you go ahead and decide to buy the D3500 as well. So pop in the comments below if you'd like a video on how to use it, and I will see you guys really soon. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like and share and do all those things for helping me, and I will see you soon. I'm always cheering you guys on.